Back and bigger than ever, it's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, welcome back. It is the unofficial 40 here on Soonerscoop.com with the entire crew as Josh is
figured a way
into
into
his house today. Josh McQuistion, welcome back. I'll allow you 2 minutes to explain yourself from last week. If I
don't know.
There we go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame I don't want to come back to this. But no, last week I was, for those that don't know, in the process of selling our house. Someone had come over to look at it. We had a showing. I got out of the house. Everything should have been fine. No big deal. It was not within the podcast timeline. Going to work out. Well, when I come back, they have locked my screen door. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I never lock my screen door. Like, it's a little glass door. What the hell difference is it going to make if someone wants into my house? So I don't have a key for it on my keychain. The only key so I can't unlock my back door. Well, my front door, the only key I have is in the lockbox for the realtors. So I have no way to get into my house and can't come inside to my whole big, pretty podcast setup that Carrie set up long ago. So the guys try to do it over the phone. We're having all kinds of problems connecting, and at this point, I am having to run to Houston to meet Tiffany.
You didn't know your password is what the problem was.
Yes, there was. I still don't know what happened with that, but that doesn't matter. We got it fixed. And then I had to remember what we changed it to log back in now that I am set back up. So it was a shitty few hours there for me because I had to run to the city and then run back and set the house back up again, get the dog out so that some other people could come see it. But it looks like we've sold it probably. You have to wait for all these things to go through, but it looks good so far. So, maybe I can't lock myself out again and Linda and I can, get back on a good working relationship.
What I take from that story is, one, Josh is rich. Two, you let a screen door get in the way of doing the podcast. Like
yeah, you could have just ripped it
easily
down.
Replaceable. Easily replaceable. Those things don't. If you have all this money from selling your house, you could afford $60, $70
and how'd that
to replace
stop
a screen
Linda?
door.
When was the last time a Mexican was stopped by a wall?
Oh my God. Linda, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sweetheart.
So we're talking like a mesh screen door.
No. Like, it's a big, glass, it's framed into the door. Like, it's a nice screen door.
It's glass.
Because he's rich.
Yeah.
Because he's
Wow.
rich, yeah.
Wow. Bob, I have 2 children. You know how not possible it is to be rich. Like, that does not exist.
Especially the way you spoil them.
Oh,
Disney
my God.
trips
You're
every year.
Dude, swim class alone is crippling to my bank account. I had to sign the second half of my swim session check, and I'm like, oh, God, this hurts every time. So, and then we've got gymnastics. You've got zoo memberships. I mean, they are a drain on my entire economy. So that was the McQuistion's update. Love you, girls, when you listen to this 10 years from now.
I hope for their
In therapy.
well-being that they're not listening to this in 10 years.
Yes, that would be. Anyway.
And Dr. Williams, who they're sitting with.
So Eddie and Bob are here. They had a late night last night. Baylor came into town. And look, big congratulations to the OU fan base. I watched it on television. I could tell it was a great atmosphere. Regardless of whether it was full or not, I mean, Bob, Eddie, you've been to all the games this year. By far the best atmosphere that an OU basketball game has had this year?
Yeah, for sure. But you would hope it would be when the number 1 team comes to town and all students are free. I mean, they didn't even have to have a ticket for.
Bob says, "F you fans, you don't deserve any credit."
Yeah, I thought it was.
That's
a good,
what I heard.
I thought it was.
I thought it
was a good crowd. I mean, it was the first time all year that you couldn't hear a whistle at some points in the game, which is a little surprising. It's like, oh, they called a foul. All right.
And Baylor was
a gladiator out in mid-court.
Baylor
you not
was
entertained?
That's
Baylor
right.
was so good you couldn't even blame John Higgins last night for screwing anything
Well,
up.
you would never blame John Higgins for anything.
I don't. Yeah, he's one of the best referees in the country. I think that's a pretty good crew that they had last night.
John
I think
Higgins
Baylor's
does
really
love him some
good.
Kansas, though.
Yeah. That would be a fact.
They weren't playing Kansas. That's why you didn't see anything weird last night.
Well, if he's on the call on Saturday, just take the Jayhawks minus the points.
But no, it was I don't know. It was just to me, it was a game.
Look, OU's they're just not good enough to go to have their two best players go 2 for 10.
But you're at home. Yeah, but you're at home. I see where you're going there. You're good enough if you play good enough.
They
but
missed
Brady
an opportunity.
Manick wasn't great last night. I mean,
in the two
Austin Reeves, you guys have failed as his fan club presidents. He did nothing last night.
I've disowned him. He sucks. I'm done with him.
It was just weird that Lon said he was cramping. I don't know what the extent of that is, but that's why he only played 6 minutes in the second half. But what's weird is that for as well as Brady Manick has played in the two biggest home games, he's had duds against Kansas and Baylor with a lot of shots that he could make that he'll talk probably tomorrow about. Those are the same shots that go in against every other team, but for some reason there was a mental hurdle, mental lockdown when it came against the Jayhawks and Bears.
Yeah, it kind of is what it is. I mean, they're really good against bad teams and not on the same level as the Kansas and Baylors of the world. And I think Kansas and Baylors of the world are probably up amongst the upper echelon of the entire country.
They're one seeds.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it just I wouldn't take too much out of it.
You could still make a Sweet 16 run with this team.
They could get to the second weekend in the tournament. I don't think that they will.
I don't think they will. But what they have to make sure they do now is not lose any game that they were supposed to win.
Sure, you have to win Saturday.
Bedlam becomes huge.
They lost their freebies. They got to beat OSU, TCU, and Texas for sure. One more nice chance will be Texas Tech next week at Chesapeake. But they got to be at least 3-2 in these last 5 games.
And I still don't think West Virginia is just incredible or anything like that. I mean, they can't score the basketball. So you go up to Morgantown and shoot the ball well, maybe you have a chance.
West Virginia it's so hard to watch their games. It's just so ugly.
Well, they can't score.
But they can defend. That's the thing. I
mean,
mean,
that's the only thing they can do.
I mean, OSU had like 2 points through 8.5 minutes or something last night.
OSU should have been up by 10 at halftime, and they were only up by 5.
And then they didn't score. They scored 2 points with like 12.5 minutes left to go in the game.
That is so what we're telling you is a big Bedlam game coming up on Saturday in Gallagher-Iba Arena.
I mean, OU has a reason to be concerned.
No, it is
playing a lot better.
If you're an Oklahoma basketball fan that wants them to make the NCAA tournament, it is a huge game on Saturday.
Look, I think this about Oklahoma.
Going for 4 straight against OSU, too, I think.
They defend really, really well. And Oklahoma State does not have guys that can create their own shot. I mean, Likely is the only guy that can take you on the dribble. And when he does that too much, it's awful. It kills them. Like, he's one of those guys that goes out there and he's like, I'm the best player on this team. And it's just like, everybody's like, stop. You're not. You're really not. Let other people play. So I mean, they've got to take out DeZagua. They got to take out Lindy Waters. I mean, they've got to just guard. And I think they should be able to win that game in Stillwater.
Has all the makings of Lindy Waters going for like 35 on Saturday, doesn't it?
It really does.
I've seen that story before. They won't. Oklahoma State will not shoot 13% in the second half like they did in Morgantown.
No.
But I hope it's a good game. I'm excited for it. I hope it's a good crowd too. They had a good crowd up there last Saturday for the Tech game and the 95 celebration with Eddie Sutton. So I hope it's a good crowd. It usually is.
Oh yeah,
for Bedlam
for sure.
I think it's supposed to be shitty out too. So good
Just
reason
rain
to go
all
up,
weekend. I think.
Yeah, inside. Stay inside.
One thing coming up this weekend as well will be Eddie, by the way, flew out to Orlando for the Orlando Rivals camp that was out there. Got a chance to see Mario Williams, who it is a little bit confusing because, Eddie, you interviewed Mario, and yet it's kind of that thing like isn't it just a little weird being in Florida because you're out of your element and everything is really Florida, Florida State, Miami, LSU, Georgia. With
really,
kids.
right now, I was kind of telling you guys, it seems like the flavor of the week right now down in that area is Florida for obvious reasons. Miami and Florida State are
Orlando's
so down.
a little closer to Gainesville, too.
And then Georgia is making it seems like every kid down there has some type of connection to Georgia. And Dakota Mitchell, if you see the interview up on the site, wearing a Georgia beanie during it.
Yeah.
So I do want to take a second and give it up to myself for not making any Pulse nightclub jokes last week before going to Orlando. I was very proud of myself.
Don't do them now.
I'm not doing them now, but I do want to point out that I've matured, and a younger Eddie Radosevich would have made some type of Pulse nightclub joke. So we'll leave it at that.
Glad you didn't do it.
No problem.
Glad you could bring it up to tell us to give.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew I was thinking about it.
I was aware.
I was aware of myself, but I just didn't want to say anything. But no, it was.
Was the place I made you stay in? Was that a pretty decent area, or was it sketchy?
Oh no, it was. I mean,
because it's like right there by the park, right?
Oh, everything is right around there. In fact, Saturday night when I got in, I hadn't eaten dinner or anything, so I just went over to an Outback. I was like, I'll go sit at the bar and get a couple beers and have a steak. And I walked in. Well, I walked up to the Outback first off. The Uber dropped me off, and there was like 7,000 families outside, and I was like, oh God. No. And I mean, there were people waiting for like 45 minutes
Orlando
for tables.
Is nuts.
It was that entire area is just kind of. It was kind of cool.
So is that like the restaurant row where they have the upside down house and all that?
I never saw that. It was night though, so I wasn't necessarily looking either. But it was a nice little area. Orlando's a lot bigger than I was thinking it was going to be.
It's crazy.
It's a massive area. It kind of reminds me of Oklahoma City in a way. I mean, obviously not as big.
It's all stretched out.
But stretched out, and then you have like Kissimmee and Lake Buena Vista, and it's kind of like Bethany, War Acres, and all the other BS towns around here. But back to the camp. It was interesting for a couple of reasons, because it just, I don't know, that area of the world, it's very obvious why Oklahoma, well, I guess it's not obvious, but you can see why Oklahoma hasn't had the most success down there. Like, we go up to Dallas or Houston, and OU's usually the kind of in team, I guess you could say, especially here over the last couple
years.
They
talk about branding all the time. Like, OU is a bigger brand. It's like the In and Out or whatever you want to say. Like,
yeah, same difference.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, those kids want to come see it, and Mario Williams is one of those guys that told me that he'd be visiting in spring, during the spring in April. But, you know, to sit here and say that I think he's going to go to Oklahoma, probably be a little too much right now. I do think it's interesting, the baseball side of things. I didn't realize Plant City, they won the state championship last year in the state of Florida. He's a very accomplished baseball player, and you know, I do know for a fact that Oklahoma, the football and baseball staffs are working together and recruiting guys, and you kind of saw that a little bit with Cade Horton.
Yeah.
But you know, they definitely have a plan in place for that kind of thing. I mean, they have probably the best example in the last 20 years in Kyler Murray being able to do both. So,
well, and to help Skip too. He's down for, you know, helping however he can. It seems.
Yeah, and they're more than willing to, I guess, share service time of a player, if you will.
I think the one thing that Eddie and I both was interesting is, you know, Eddie is down there. He's sending all the video back to me, but we simultaneously developed man crushes on Micah Morris, the offensive lineman.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I know that there was people on the board that were kind of saying it was just kind of a shitty group of defensive tackles, and I thought Tunmise did really well as well.
He did better than I thought.
Yeah, I thought he had a pretty good day. He was definitely
the MVP.
He was and I think it was a.
It wasn't a crowded field, but yeah.
It was a clear winner,
yeah,
I guess you could say. But him and Micah Morris, I mean, they went up against each other. I think they had like 3 or 4 reps against each other. And
I thought Tunmise won a couple of those.
I would say it was probably 2-2 if I had to really break it down. Mario Williams, you can tell, though, why people want the guy. He's a very good-looking athlete. Marquise Brown is kind of the one that we talked about, and you can definitely see that in his game. Chase Smith is interesting for the fact that I don't know. He's skinny. I was kind of surprised.
But he's long.
Very, very long. And obviously I don't know what the strength and conditioning program's like at his high school, but I think it's like Palm Bay or something, Bayside.
Bayside, I think.
So he could definitely, he has a frame that he could add weight. I guess that's probably the best way to say it.
Well, I mean, at Bayside, the strength and conditioning coach there is actually a guy named AC Slater. So
See, I knew we were going there.
I thought about saying something to him about that, and I was like, that would be the douchiest thing to say. This kid probably has no idea who Saved by the Bell is.
Bayside was in California, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the fictional Bayside.
Yeah.
I mean,
Zach
wait,
Morris
that's
was
real?
not from Florida.
No.
But no, I mean, he is kind of an interesting offer because when I've talked to people about, kind of what they're wanting to identify, the guys they're looking for, it doesn't feel like those projectable types. A guy like Chase Smith, like you're talking about, that's so long, so lean, that's really going to have to get into a weight program and kind of grow and develop. It's more of those guys like the Kobe McKenzie that are good athlete, maybe not as elite athletically as Chase Smith, but are guys that you don't have to take the big guess on, like, can they fit into this? Can they do these things? But I think Chase Smith is just so talented, it doesn't matter. They're going to take that chance because, I mean, this is a guy that, and Eddie, I know you being around him got to see some of it. I don't know how much, if he worked at all at receiver, but this is a guy that really, I mean, he could play at a lot of places. He could play Power 5 at receiver, but as a linebacker, his potential is just much, much higher. And so I think that's where you get into kind of an interesting conversation on him. But like I said, we'll see where things kind of go. But I do like that Oklahoma is in on him early. I've heard some talk that he could take a visit. There's a couple of guys out of Georgia and Barrett Carter and Shmael Munden that Oklahoma's in good shape with. So there are I hear a lot of positive things on Oklahoma's linebacker recruiting. Now, obviously, having Kobe McKenzie reclassify, and I know you guys talked about that last week, really gives them some stable ground. They don't have to, we got to get these guys, we got to have somebody here pretty soon. They've got their guy, and now they can kind of be a little choosier about what they do around him.
Yeah, and I would just add on Chase Smith that he worked exclusively at wide receiver on Sunday.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's a lot to like. And I even asked him in the interview as far as, who is recruiting you on the defensive side of the ball? And it was a very immediate Oklahoma. And it almost seemed like Brian Odom in Oklahoma. It almost seemed like they're one of the only schools really out there that's pushing him, is what it made it seem like to me. But I know there's probably others.
And he seemed to really kind of light up when he talked about Brian.
Yeah, he
Odom.
said he likes playing defense. He didn't seem like a guy that is playing wide receiver and they want to project him to play on the defense side of the ball. He said that he plays defense as well, so
he never comes off the field.
I think that was exactly what he said.
That's one of those things you get in these Southeastern guys. They've been beat over the head. I mean, you can get mad about the whole SEC thing, but they see the value of being a defensive guy and how those guys, in a lot of cases, make far more money than if they were playing on the offensive side of the ball. They understand that, I won't get the ball, but I'm going to have the big contract. And that's what, that works. So I think to some degree that's something that pays off for the SEC is there is these glorifications of defensive players as to where sometimes, like in California and Texas, if you don't have the ball, you're just some other guy.
So I give credit to DJ Graham because I certainly thought he was going to be one of those guys that would just, I want to be receiver and that's it. But you can tell that Alex Grinch and Roy Manning made it clear to him, okay, you come to OU, you're on defense, and you better be okay with that. And he embraced it throughout his senior season. Sounds like he's had a pretty good first part of the winter workouts, and it'll be nice to see what he looks like when spring starts.
Okay, so Orlando is behind us. We've got another camp coming up this weekend. Josh, why don't you kind of take people through a little bit about the camp season, what's coming up, and I know you're going to be out at Houston this weekend where Rivals is.
Yeah, I mean, we are already, we've started to work on our plans. Obviously, Eddie was in Orlando last weekend. I'll be in Houston this weekend. We've got Dallas in March. I may end up going to Atlanta. That one's still kind of up in the air a little bit. Obviously, we've got plans to be in Washington, D.C. to see Caleb Williams, Monkel Goodwine, some of those guys. So it should be a pretty eventful spring for us as far as just getting out and seeing a lot of guys. This weekend in Houston, not surprising, like you guys were just talking about, there are a lot of guys that OU fans are going to be a little more familiar with than maybe the Chase Smiths and Dakota Mitchells and some of the other guys that Eddie got to see in Florida last week. First on the list, you've got to start off with Bryce Foster, the 5-star offensive lineman from Katy Taylor. Took a visit to OU a couple weeks ago. He and I have talked a lot, and honestly, we're just supposed to connect for an interview, and then it got to this week, and we were both kind of like, I'll just see you at camp, and we'll do it then. So he and I will catch up then. But I really like where OU is at. I think they are making this a very interesting pursuit. I know when he talked to Sam Spiegelman a few weeks ago, he kind of gave Sam the impression that of all the schools that were really hitting the right notes with how to recruit him, it sounded like Oklahoma was the one that he really seemed to see eye to eye with how they were coming at him. Now, A&M's going to be a lot to overcome. He's got a lot of connection there. So I don't know that that's going to be enough to tip the scales, but it's interesting. Then you've got Ruben Fatheree, high school teammates with Cody Jackson, the OU's wide receiver commitment, who will also be there. Ruben is a guy that I love his potential. I love his upside. He is going to need some time. He's very Stacey Wilkins-ish, like a lot of athleticism, a lot of length, but going to need to get bigger, stronger, and is a guy that spent a lot of time playing basketball, playing AAU basketball, so he doesn't have all this weight training in the offseason like a guy like Bryce Foster does, so he's going to have to play some catch-up in the college game. But like I said, he is a prototypical left tackle in my opinion. I think he can be outstanding. I expect to see Colin Montgomery, OU's other Houston area commitment there. He hasn't signed up, but we think that'll be handled. One of the interesting guys is Demetrius Davis, the quarterback from Galena Park North Shore, who I don't know if he's going to be the guy if Oklahoma misses out on Caleb Williams, but I can tell you he'll be in that short conversation. There'll be 3 or 4 guys that if OU misses on Williams, they'll say, okay, who's our next target? I think Davis will be part of that conversation, and I know he and Lincoln Riley have been talking a lot. There's a good connection there, and I think if Oklahoma wanted to pursue him, even with his Virginia Tech commitment, I think Oklahoma could make a real run. Jordan Thomas, a defensive end from the Houston area. Latrell Neville will be there. Terrence Cooks, a linebacker from Peril and Shadow Creek, that is just a really talented athlete. I like him a lot. I think he's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. Then you get into the younger guys, Cam Dewberry, the big offensive lineman from Atascocita, Randy Masters, a 2022 guy from Shadow Creek that OU hasn't offered yet. I think that'll change in due time. He is a big, explosive athlete that I think, he's the kind of guy that Alex Grinch or Dennis Simmons is going to fall in love with sooner or later. Bobby Taylor, a recent DB offer that we broke down on a story in the front page. Justin Medlock, a 2022 linebacker, that came up for Oklahoma's first junior day and really enjoyed his trip. I expect him to return. And, one of Bob and I's personal favorites in the 2023 class, the Black Unicorn himself,
he's back.
Ruben Owens, will be at the camp. My first time to see him live, really excited to kind of watch him. He is, I need to go back and look and make sure, but he's one of Oklahoma's first or second offers in the entire country for the 2023 class. So he is a big-time talent. I know we kind of, the name is funny and it's easy for people to kind of memorize, but he is a very, very good player for DeMarco Murray and company to get after.
I think Eddie and I know who the Black Unicorn is now, finally. He's not shy about calling himself that.
I know.
I will not be recognizing
you will
him as
not
that.
recognize him.
I don't see color. It's 2020, folks. I don't assume gender. I don't see color.
He's a translucent unicorn.
He's
if you will.
opaque
If
unicorn.
you will.
Well, when I look at a lot of Laney's unicorns, they do have a kind of, a clear look to them, almost glassy.
Does she have any mulatto unicorns? No big Curb fans here. I'm sorry.
No,
I do like
that
Curb. I
is
just
filed
have
under the show I
not
mean
watched
to
it. I
watch.
just
The episode where
completely-
he's looking for the mulatto baby
Yes.
is hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
The politically, and it's just like I'm looking for Oriental baby.
Yeah.
Just things that people don't say anymore.
Could have came to Norman.
I'm trying to connect the dots.
I'm waiting for Eddie to make a Soso Jamabo joke there.
He was into the Chinese, wasn't he?
Asians
Asians.
everywhere. Girls.
Westwood.
Not Oriental girls everywhere. Anyway.
Well, our latest edition.
Eddie, we need to talk to you about what you said on the last podcast.
Golly, Josh
Click.
just ran through like 700 recruits there. Is the
Yeah,
pod's
sorry.
done?
I never know, like, because I'm like, they're not looking at the list, so you guys aren't like, oh, well, what about he's going to be there? You know, I mean, we can certainly talk about some other guys. L.J. Johnson won't be there, just kind of for those who
his
were kind of hoping he'd get a look. I believe he is nursing an injury, ass.
Hey,
So,
let me ask you, is it you mentioned the quarterback situation, and I think everybody's going to be kind of focused on that here moving forward, especially with Caleb Williams and what happens with him this spring. Are they starting to
pick to LSU?
Yeah, in a way, is Oklahoma having to start looking at other options, or is that just kind of covering their bases?
I think Oklahoma is, and it's one of those things where if you look at it, as well as Oklahoma's recruited at quarterback, they've been drilled with an unexpected decommitment, three of the last 4 years. I mean, you had the whole thing with Cameron Rising, and then everything pretty much went to plan with Spencer Rattler, and then the next year you've got the whole Brock Vandegrift situation. So I think Oklahoma is just making sure they don't get left at the end of the food trough, so they have to fight to get some guy from some other program or that kind of thing. So I think they're just being careful. I think Oklahoma feels, I wouldn't say like confident about Caleb Williams, but they know they're as in good a shape as anybody else. They've got a real chance. And the picture, someone on the board, I think it was Dolly, came up with this, and I think he's right. It's very interesting that Caleb Williams was kind of thought to be leaning towards Clemson a little bit. There was some rumor of that. And then, LSU's kind of falling out of it, and then the LSU picture comes up.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to play the game.
Of the three schools that everyone's pretty convinced he's going to choose between, what's the only one that hasn't come up?
When's the last time a recruit really pulled off a shocker?
Yeah.
Like a legit shocker?
They never do it right. Like they either tell the wrong people.
There's too many people.
Like
too many people with their hands out.
Buki tried to pull off the shocker, but everybody kind of knew he was going to Oklahoma.
There's just too many people with their hands out. Hands in the jar, I guess you could say. Too many people know everybody else's business. That'd be fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really hard because the kid is going to pick a school. Well, he wants to tell that position coach or that head coach or that coordinator, those guys are going to be excited.
Nick Benito tried it, and the Louisville coaches burn him.
Well, if you're going to try and surprise somebody, you can't do it by signing and then thinking that a school's going to hold your secret. You just can't do that.
I mean, guys,
if you really want to surprise somebody, wait until February, whatever.
Which means you got to screw over some coaches in the process.
Well, and you kind of got to play a little Russian roulette, because what if your spot? I mean, the good players, it's not going to happen to.
Sure.
Like the 5-star guys, but
Caleb Williams is fine. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's one of the casualties of the recruiting. The current day recruiting, isn't it?
The guy that went to Missouri was a shocker this last year.
Oh,
the DB from
the
Duncanville
kid. Yeah, that was a pretty big surprise. You're right.
Maybe he's the last guy that I can remember that's really did it.
Was that more to do though with Alabama just kind of saying we're going in a different direction?
No. From what I was told, Alabama wanted him.
Yep.
Alabama would have taken him. Texas wanted him. I mean, he had real options.
That guy should have his head examined.
Hey,
Ryan Walters he's shooting up the charts as a coach.
Oh, that's right. That gave us the reaction of the year.
Yeah.
Yep, it did.
With their head coach, it looks like he is in charge of finance at the University of Missouri.
That is, I haven't updated my brain yet. What's that guy's name?
He's the
guy from Appalachian State. I know.
As a banker,
Drinkwitz.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep.
He has a weird name.
Drink.
Well, Missouri would be looking for another coach in 3-4 years. So
it was kind of like if you watched Steve Ballmer win a recruit.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever want.
It wasn't quite like Steve Ballmer awkwardness, but it was close.
There's nothing that touches Steve Ballmer awkwardness.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like that's so
like
far
it's
high.
at the top of the chain, And then Drinkwitz was, just teetering on awkwardness.
It was full on white dad uncomfortableness, which is okay in some settings.
By the way,
I have white dad uncomfortableness all the time. Bro.
Eddie, how did you feel about the whitewashing of TikTok that happened in the NBA All-Star Weekend? You're a big TikTok guy.
Yeah, I didn't really. I was traveling on Sunday, so I didn't see a whole lot. I saw that all those TikTok girls were at the thing on Saturday night. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. And then they started uncovering that they're getting credit for black girls coming up with all these dances that they're doing. And so then they invited the Renegade girl to dance during.
Oh, is that why they did that?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that. That makes sense now.
Because it's Black History Month. There was Black Twitter was really up in arms over that whole thing.
I missed that.
I've finally started a TikTok account.
It's pretty addictive, isn't it?
It's interesting. All it is a bunch of teases, though. It's like...
Well, they're like 15, Carrie.
I know.
They're like 16. Like,
but how do they know how to do that? It's
sometimes I go...
They come up with these elaborate teases.
I know, and sometimes Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like the...
I think you guys too...
I thought you were talking about something else. I was going to say...
No, you watching, Carrie?
Sometimes
I'm not saying like porn teases.
Sometimes I just pull into Oklahoma County and watch it in the parking lot because I know they're about to knock on my door as soon as I flip it on.
I did see a TikTok today where a guy, he was doing like, this is what it's like if you're 20 plus watching TikTok.
Yeah.
And it had like the little girl, and like basically Chris Hansen bursts into the room.
Basically what it is.
Can we play that? I mean, Bob and I were just living our nightmare right there.
Well,
like,
that's the obvious difference between two married men and two bachelors.
Everywhere. Yeah, they're all 15. Yeah. Wait, what?
Cliffhanger would have been a better
cliffhangers.
Yeah, cliffhanger would have been a better word.
You watch this and it's like
I was like, what? I don't know if I know this.
This side of Carrie?
Yeah,
no, there was like this one thing where they were trying to set
genre I haven't heard of yet.
They were trying to set the world records for putting Mentos in Coke. And right as they're getting ready to pull out the Mentos thing to let it explode, like or follow to see part two. And I'm like, God damn you.
Yeah, Sorry, guys. That's the one part of TikTok that I don't think I understand, and I think there's something.
I never know where the part twos are at. That's
well, you
got to
click on the profile. And
I know you do, but then sometimes they're not in there because they haven't done the part two yet.
Yeah, because they wait weeks.
God, so you have to and then wait weeks to see when part two's coming out.
But I understand what they're doing. They're trying to get likes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all about likes.
I'm figuring this thing out.
I can kind of see
really not pissed off. I'm not on TikTok.
I can see why bullying's being brought back into schools. I can definitely see.
I have a 5-year-old that starts sentences all the time and won't finish them, so I don't need any cliffhangers.
Yeah, you got TikTok. You got TikTok right there.
Yes, I live TikTok. Yep, it's going on in my backseat of my car to school every day.
You should like draw up some little hearts that you can give to her. Like, I like this. Will you finish the sentence for me?
Like, Daddy, I was thinking is the start of so many sentences that never ever end. Like, and she'll start them over. Like, Daddy, I was thinking, and then she'll get distracted, and I'm like, you were thinking what? I don't remember. Damn it! It's just awful. Sorry, more dad life. Sorry, everybody out there.
That's all right. Look, we're the pod that we are. We're going to drop GDs.
We are what we are.
Josh is going to talk family. I'm going to do redneck
it's
stuff.
All-encompassing is what it is.
Yeah, all the stuff that you say don't do, we're just going to keep doing it. Sorry.
Something for everybody.
By the way, I want to remind you guys, this podcast is brought to you, our title sponsor, MidFirst Bank. Go to midfirst.com/U40. That's midfirst.com/U40. Sign up for the OU Rewards credit card. It's exclusive to midfirst.com. You can get your credit card, 0% APR over the first 12 months, and you'll have your OU branded credit card, so you can whip that bad boy out and pay for all your stuff, show everybody that you're a big Sooner fan in the process. So go sign up for that. Great sponsor of the podcast. Also at select centers right now, if you go, you can when you sign up and apply, you get a free Bluetooth speaker. So much more to come with some things we're working on with MidFirst that a lot of people are going to like. But go to that website, midfirst.com/U40, midfirst.com/U40, and apply for your MidFirst OU Rewards credit card today. All right, so you talked a little bit about the schedule there coming up. I don't know. lot of offers going out. Josh, I know you wrote a story, posted on the front page today, but this really has been kind of OU starting the foundation for their 2021 class over the past couple of weeks, hasn't it been?
Yeah, I mean, it ended up, by the time when I started it was like 27 offers. And by the time I was actually able to finish it, like 5 more had come in, and so it ended up being 32 new offers to go over. And, for those that haven't read it, we made it free. You can look at it. It's just, I give kind of a brief thought on their tape. You can look at their tape. It's linked in there. And then we just kind of talk about where OU's chances are. Now, a lot of these guys, Oklahoma has just initiated contact. So you're going to read it and be like, oh, hell, OU's not getting any of these guys. It's early. Let's just see where it goes. But there are several guys where you're kind of like, okay, I think that could make some sense. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, and this is over the last, little less than 3 weeks that kind of covers. So, I mean, you're talking about basically 10 offers a week have gone out, over the past, half of a month or so. So you're seeing a lot of activity. Oklahoma isn't just taking the dead period and saying, oh, well, we'll punt until March and see what happens. I'm talking to a lot of guys that are already, I know guys that are talking about taking trips on March 1st. Like, there is a lot of activity that's going to start almost immediately as soon as February is over.
Josh, do you think with the dead period it actually allowed the coaches more time to really figure out who they wanted to offer?
I do, because, I mean, you look at it, Bob, it's not just 2021. I mean, they made 2023 offers, and you saw what I thought was really interesting is you started to see almost immediately Jamar Cain starting to have some influence on what was going on. Like, they made a couple of offers on the West Coast, the Jermaine Terry kid from kind of Northern California, which makes a lot of sense with all the success Oklahoma has had up there, that he could be a fit, a kid from Richmond, California, kind of in the Oakland area. And then, you look at the other one that caught my eye, and the kid's name is kind of wild. Nathan Rollins Kabonge from Portland, Oregon. I mean, Oklahoma makes an offer in Oregon once every 4 or 5 years. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So, the other thing that's been interesting to me is you've seen as of late, a lot of offers going out in Texas, Kansas, Missouri. I mean, places that Oklahoma wins in recruiting. So there are some names like the Tabechi Okoli kid from Lincoln College Prep. That's a guy that I like a lot on tape and I think could make a lot of sense for Oklahoma, kind of fits what they're looking for in their defensive ends. I do. I think they had a lot of time to evaluate, really figure some guys out. And what you also like is like Tristan Lee. I mean, almost a 5-star on Rivals, just picked up his offer in the last week or so. Oklahoma just isn't going to be rushed, and especially with Bill Bedenbaugh and his track record, he knows he doesn't have to be the first one at the food line to go offer these guys. He can take his time, kind of see what he wants, and then he can go pursue these players. I don't know if that'll work for Tristan Lee. Like I said in the breakdown, they're a little bit behind. We'll see if they can make up that ground. But if Oklahoma really pursued him, it wouldn't shock me at all if he at least took an official visit.
Are you noticing with 2022 kids at all that, I don't know, maybe now that Lincoln is here and that, this is such an accelerated, timeline for recruiting, are you seeing more like 2022 kids showing interest in Oklahoma maybe than you have in years past, just because, like I said, it is so accelerated? I mean, Kobe
sure.
McKenzie's a pretty good example, I guess.
I mean, you've already got a commitment in tow from an elite prospect, not just a guy. And then, I mean, we've talked a lot about Gentry Williams through the years of the podcast. Amarian Harris from Little Rock, Arkansas, has already made a couple of trips to Norman. Donovan Green, Talon Shetron, the 2 in-state offers, Shetron and Jacob Sexton from Deer Creek. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting Marion Horn from Broken Arrow. So, I mean, there are a lot of activity. And then the guy that, I mean, I know maybe Kerry and Eddie, the guy you all are most familiar with, is Raleek Brown, the kid that's transferred to Mater Dei now in Southern California, that's only going to explode. Like, he's one of those guys that we know about because we saw, you guys saw him at camp. I saw the video. Everybody got excited.
Dominating, yeah.
But once he goes to Mater Dei, that spotlight just turns up 20 times. It's going to be so different for him. And when everybody sees how unbelievably good he is, he'll become a huge name. But like I said, when you're starting to already make headway with some of these big-time guys, Oklahoma's got 3 quarterback offers out already in 2022. So they're wasting no time. they're using this February not just for the 2021 group, but really starting to lay the foundation for 2022 so that when they open contact on August 1st, they are ready to run.
Was the first 2022 offer the quarterback that was at the same camp that Brock was
Yep.
at? Yeah.
Ty Simpson.
Simpson.
Yeah.
Yep. His dad, I believe, is actually one of the coaches at Tennessee Martin, I believe, if I'm not – I want to say like the OC or something like that. There's some connection to Tennessee Martin. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, Ty's at Tennessee Martin way more than someone of his stature should be. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe he just wants to go see Hannes Pola.
Maybe.
It's the
Maybe.
second time Tennessee Martin's been in a conversation that I've had this week, and it's really kind of freaking me out. I mean, I need to go over there and see what's going on.
So I was vaguely right. His dad is literally the head coach. So,
now he has a really
some
good
affiliation
excuse.
with Tennessee Martin.
Some.
That's a legitimate excuse to be over there.
We've been through Tennessee Chattanooga, but I don't think we've ever been through Tennessee Martin.
No, I can't say that. I don't even. Where
Chattanooga is like in the mountains.
Is Martin, Tennessee? Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's University of Tennessee at Martin.
Yeah.
Where are they now with Hannes and talk with Ty too?
Yeah, do a 2-for-1. Go live. We'll take the backpack.
We'll see if there's a big-time linebacker from Tennessee in the 2022 class you guys can go check out.
Josh,
too soon.
You mentioned Kobe McKenzie. Is that a name that resonates with other guys around the country as far as when he goes and makes a pitch or when he comes in for a big recruiting weekend, will other guys know who he is?
Does he have quarterback juice?
Yeah.
I would say no, but I will say in Texas, he does have juice.
Okay.
Like Emeka Megwa is a good friend of his. I know there's several guys in that 2022 group that know each other really well. Interestingly, guys, and a name I know, Bob will absolutely remember, one of Emeka Megwa's high school strength and conditioning coach is KJ Williams from Norman North that went to Texas A&M. So there are some interesting connections there. But, yeah, McKenzie is a guy that in Texas, they know him well. The problem is he's out in Lubbock. I mean, he's not a guy that faces –
not a DFW guy, not a Houston guy.
Houston. Exactly. They don't see him every day or see him at all the camps or all the 7-on-7 stuff. There's just not that level of familiarity. But the thing that you can say, and you guys talked about it a little bit when you talked about his reclassification last week, when Kobe McKenzie shows up at a junior day or a game or whatever in Norman, and they're like, yeah, this is our linebacker commitment, there's not going to be anybody that's like, well, I wonder if that dude can play. Like, they're going to be like, dang, that guy, yeah, he can play. I'll play linebacker next to that guy, no problem. Because
what year are you at OU is what you asked
exactly.
when you see him.
Yeah, like he and Blackshire are like, yeah, that's a duo you could live with, just scaring the crap out of everybody. But, I mean, like, he's not that guy. Like, we talked about Chase Smith earlier. Chase Smith's going to be like, is he a receiver? Like, what's he going to play? But with Kobe, you're like, that's a dude. I mean, he just looks the part, and so you kind of know it. So even if they don't know him coming in, he'll have some credibility from word go.
What's the kind of the rundown on Blackshire? Because, I mean, I know everybody saw him at junior day. They saw his picture, just drooling over him.
Is he 100%?
I think he is supposed to be full go this spring. I don't know that he'll go full go, but I think if if it was the season in May, he would play.
When did that injury happen? That was during the spring, wasn't it?
No, it
Summer?
was like September.
Okay, so it was okay.
I want to say it was like during preseason.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like right in August.
For some reason, I was thinking like June or July or something that it happened during the summer, but.
But when your
Obviously.
body is just a literal ball of muscle, you heal really fast.
Yeah,
So,
I would imagine like he just puts it in like a some type of glass case and just has to leave it in there for an hour.
Like, I remember, when Delarian Turner-Yell broke his collarbone, everybody's like, well, he's going to miss spring. And I was like, well, AD came back in the same season, and people were like, dude, you're comparing Delarian Turner-Yell to AD.
That was Eddie that did it.
Well,
The what?
I mean, it's not like Adrian's like Wolverine.
He's like me.
He doesn't
He
have like
doesn't remember.
superhuman powers.
Well, that was kind of my point, but
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I get what you're saying. Like
his body,
people who are very physically fit heal faster. They just do. Their bodies are in better shape.
His body, I don't know, when the milk goes into it, it just makes his bones stronger. Than
he drinks breast milk.
Breast milk.
His body doesn't even digest the milk. It just goes to the bones and recalcifies.
He drinks his own breast milk. He's an amazing creature.
He grew udders until he was healed. His body just produced them.
When he tore his ACL for the Vikings, he was just in there with breast pumps in the Vikings locker room, just working away on it.
Wouldn't put it past him. He's AD. He can do anything he wants.
He announced today he's coming back.
Coming back. It's incredible.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, he still plays. He's still.
He's still playing at a respectable level. It's not like he's not.
I just
the guy
wouldn't want to
he
do
was.
it for the Washington Redskins.
I had to,
Fair.
Find a way to get out of that.
I had to, because somebody asked about Samaje Perine playing in the XFL, which, by the way, we haven't even discussed that. But so it forced me to go look at what Samaje Perine is doing now. And he's on the Dolphins roster. He got signed off the Bengals practice squad for the last game of the season. Because I think it was Darius Geis, maybe I got the wrong guy. Maybe I got hurt.
Geis is in Washington.
Geis is Redskins.
Who am I thinking? It was some other LSU former back, I think. Anyway, so their main running back got hurt, so they signed him for a game. But if you look at that Dolphins running back roster, you don't have to answer the question, why is AD coming back? There are literally teams with, watch the XFL. There ain't no damn running backs in that league. Cameron Artis-Payne was pretty good for Dallas, and they have the Dunbar guy, but league-wide, there are no running backs. The NFL has all the running backs, just like they pretty much have all the quarterbacks. There's just not to me, it's eye-opening because it's not just that the NFL has, there's always been this narrative that the value of the running back is not high anymore in the NFL. Well, there's also not a whole lot of running backs out there that actually still are healthy and can play.
It goes to two things. The wear and tear on your body. Guys just can't play like that forever.
And guys like DeMarco retire early.
Yep. DeMarco 20 years ago would still be in the NFL, probably having a fairly successful career. You think about guys I think about O.J. Anderson when I was a kid playing for the Giants when he was 35 or something, or Ernest Biner playing well into his 30s. Those guys don't exist anymore.
I wonder if those guys can walk. No.
Well, how is Frank Gore going to be walking when he's in 10 years? Frank Gore's trying to, Frank Gore said he wants to go back to Miami to be their running back next year. I don't even know how he's still upright.
Frank Gore is an incredible, we talk about AD being an incredible specimen. Frank Gore, for him to be able to still do it is even more insane.
He must be.
Because I don't even think Frank Gore's had any serious injuries, had he?
Not since he first got in the league, and
he definitely hasn't had a Willis McGahee or anything like that.
It's been at least 10 years since he's had anything that I can remember.
Wow, Kerry, you are not lying. The Miami Dolphins running back room, Patrick Laird, a 2-year veteran from Cal, Samaje Perine, DeLance Turner, a 3-year guy from Alcorn State, and Chandler Cox, a former Auburn fullback. Woo!
Apopka.
Oh, yeah, it's an Apopka guy.
If I would have had enough time, I would have gone down and tried to see the Darlington family statue in front of Apopka Stadium. But it wasn't. I didn't have enough time on Sunday. I don't even know where it is in relation to Celebration where I was, which I think is possibly I didn't mention this at the beginning, but Celebration could be a soundstage for Disney.
Yeah.
I'm serious. They were telling me there's some towns around there that are completely made up towns just for Disney.
I can believe that. Apopka is 27 minutes northwest of Orlando.
Okay.
To get out of Orlando, that's at least an hour, though.
Yeah. Orlando's traffic is not prepared for that.
I found Celebration. You'd be almost dead north, and you'd have to go around the lakes there, Lake Butler, and some of those other areas. Yeah, Orlando is Orlando's just a giant Disney World that pretends to be a city.
It's hell.
Hell
on earth.
I'll take your word
Laney
for it.
and
Everybody
Lola,
that's ever gone there.
You gotta realize
for that bowl game.
I went there sick to death. Like on my deathbed, I covered that. And Barry Trammell had the same thing I did. We were dying. Plus, I had to deal with all the Homer Clemson writers that were sitting right next to me. And like I'm just in my hotel room, just sleeping, just cramming Dayquil down my throat. I remember going to the Walgreens or whatever, and it was like the United Nations in there. Like people weren't even speaking English. Just a crazy place.
I hated the Rosen so much.
The what?
The Rosen. That's where we stayed.
The Rosen?
Yes.
When you went to Disney?
No, for OU Clemson.
Oh, I didn't stay at that.
Okay, good.
Or maybe I don't know where the hell I stayed. I was so sick, I don't remember any of that trip. So I barely remember the game. I remember asking Josh Heupel.
Blacked out more than Trevor Knight did on that trip.
I remember asking Josh Heupel if he'd coached his last game at Oklahoma. And I felt like such a dick. And he still won't talk to me. I don't know if it was because of that.
No, I think it's just because you're associated with the state of Oklahoma. I don't think he talks to anybody associated
he
with
doesn't talk to Bob,
anymore.
so I guess I can't feel
I didn't even think about it. I should have called him on Saturday night.
Called Heupel?
Yeah, see if he wanted to go to Outback.
Oh, yeah, because he's at UCF.
He's in Orlando.
No, but I don't know what you guys have thought about the XFL. I've actually enjoyed it just because it's football. I got to think this collective group, like we're kind of the demographic for the XFL. Like it's football. We know some of these guys. Like I'm just fascinated to know that Ahmad Dixon is still playing football and not in prison.
I think I've taken a pretty hardline stance. I'm not going to bitch about football in February. And I actually also want to say, too, that in a way, I think that people, when they say, oh, this is just shitty football, I think people are just saying that to say that.
They think it's cool to say it?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just
I only drink 20-year scotch.
Maybe I'm just not a football snob by any means, but, like, it's football. I don't know what...
It's
like,
not
what would have to happen out on the field for you to say, this is great football?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but that's
more
the thing.
first downs, more touchdowns.
I don't think that
and I know
people-
that's like very kind of wide ranging, but
Look, it is what it is. It's not great football, and you know how you know it's not great football because there's not a lot of explosive plays, especially on offense. Like it is,
Sure.
It's very much a grind to watch that game being played. But I appreciate. I mean, it is ridiculous watching Landry Jones try and scramble. It's just ridiculous.
It's fun.
But it's always been ridiculous watching Landry Jones trying to scramble. But, I mean, the defenses are ahead of the offense because there's not enough talent to go around for even 8 teams in another professional sport. But it's nice to know that those guys are getting paid, and guys like Frank Alexander and Landry Jones. I hope that Matt McGloin gets kicked out of the league by next week because he's such a prima donna shithead. Like, you're in the XFL, dude. Like, just settle down. You're not on a 5-year deal. You're not Tom Brady. You know, that was... But the interviews makes it kind of fun because you get to experience that kind of stuff.
And I think it's because it's different that I probably will have a better chance of watching. Like if it was just a straight edge game and you don't get those interviews in between, and if Landry wasn't associated and Bob wasn't associated, there's probably very little chance. Like I'd probably watch college basketball, even as quote unquote bad as it is these days. I'd probably watch that more.
What's funny?
Have you been watching any of it, Josh?
The XFL?
Yeah.
I really haven't had a chance to. I watched a little bit of last week's game when it, like, because everyone was like, oh, this is terrible, this is terrible. And they're like, oh, wait, Landry Jones is kind of getting it going right now. So I turned it on for a few minutes. But, I mean, generally on a Sunday or Saturday, I'm either chasing kids or I'm going to try to watch Arsenal if I get my moment. So that I don't get to watch a lot of it.
Family people have no time for the XFL. That's what we've just learned.
It's not. Yes. It's not a family atmosphere. That's what Vince McMahon wants.
I mean, especially with this weekend. If Saturday's all in Stillwater with Bedlam, Sunday is all family.
So here's okay, Eddie. You and I can have this discussion.
Make Pro watch it. Build character.
Here's what I don't understand about the XFL, Eddie. Why don't you just go for 3 points every time? because people aren't getting 1-pointers. They're not getting 2-pointers. Just go for 3 every time.
I don't think I've watched it enough to even realize that people aren't doing that.
No, they're not.
What are they doing? Going for one. So you go for one, it's closer to further back.
But even
3.
closer, they're not making it. Like some teams go to Wildcat, like trying to, and that rarely works.
It's funny
it's a
that
stupid XFL.
Well, it's just funny that like some of these quarterbacks and people that have been associated with it, like you can see why. I mean, the NFL can't even outfit every team with a good quarterback, let alone the XFL.
I mean, here's the good thing though is, and here's what they have to keep doing. They have to keep benching quarterbacks because I am not going to watch Aaron Murray play a game from start to finish every week.
Yeah.
It's awful. He's fucking sucks. He's terrible. Like, there's a reason he's not in football anymore. At least Landry Jones was a backup in the NFL for like 3 years.
And the guy was doing announcing, isn't he?
Who?
Aaron Murray?
Now the former Georgia quarterback?
Yeah, I thought he was doing games on CBS.
No, maybe he had been, but he's playing quarterback in the XFL.
No, I understand that. I thought he was doing like college announcing though during the regular season. I could be wrong.
Mike Bobo is a coach. Maybe that's who you're thinking of.
No, I'm a big Jim Zorn guy, and I follow that. So
he's Seattle's coach.
Oh, well,
he's not an announcer.
I think I'll lock in once the playoffs start. When do the playoffs start? When does Dallas play in the playoffs?
I have no idea. I'm not that.
There's only 18,
invested.
so it can't be too long. Couple months.
They play
about
8
a month,
games.
week and a half.
I think that it isn't a 10-game season. There are certain teams you play your division twice. I think because there's 2 4-team divisions.
It's interesting.
I don't know. It's something.
It's just a blanket statement, though. Like I'm not going to bitch about football in February. I'm not going to do it.
It's like if somebody puts free dessert in front of you, I'm not going to bitch because it's not what I normally like.
I might bitch about that, but free football, no way. Can't be too mad about it.
So anyway, hoops coming up. We mentioned Bedlam. Bob, let me ask you, just on the recruiting front, anything of interest there with basketball right now?
Not too much. It's still got one scholarship to play with for 2020. I think they'll probably look maybe toward a grad transfer or a junior college. I don't see anyone that's emerging from the high school ranks that they'll make a late push for. 2021, I mean, Manny Obaseki, the 5-star from Allen, was in a couple weeks ago. Sooners feel very confident about him at shooting guard, and they love what they're doing with Team Griffin. I mean, I think that could be a huge source in their lifeblood of the program here.
You mean just because like Bijan's playing for them?
Bijan and Damian, and they'll go for Trey Alexander for as long as they can. They're definitely in the mix. Wouldn't say they're favorite by any means. It was kind of, I don't say it sucked, but you had Tuesday night, 8 p.m., number 1 team. That's not a recruiting chance for you. And it turns out it wouldn't have mattered because how they played, but they only had Bijan in. That was the only recruit that came to that game last night, and that's going to be probably something that happens a lot. He's going to make as many trips as possible. I think he's getting a lot more comfortable in terms of being in a recruiting role, so that'll be good for the Sooners to have someone locked down from within the state who'll do all he can to sort of push that program out for the next couple of years.
Bijan Cortez and Kingfisher, their state championship bid next week, right? This is the last week, and then it starts.
And then we got districts and area. Yeah, we got a ways to go.
Playoffs, not state. That misspoke.
We got a long way to go.
Can I tell you guys a dirty little secret? I'm kind of excited to go see Kingfisher in the state tournament. I've never gone to the Big House for a game.
I never have either.
So I'm kind of excited to go do that.
I haven't gone to the renovated one.
I've never been to the State Fair Arena for a state championship game. Man. So I'm kind of excited to go do that. Don't screw it up, Kingfisher.
You won't be there for the championship.
They don't play the state championship there?
No, because Rivals camp is Saturday night.
I might be I might be at the State Fair Arena. You never know. What if it's just a shitty camp?
Ooh.
Wow, Sam Spiegelman, shots fired, sir.
It's not. I'm just kidding. It's not going to happen. Oh, it's Saturday night. I could drive down afterwards. Maybe. Well, probably not.
It depends when the 4A boys get scheduled.
Yeah, you didn't go see your Panthers when they won state?
They're never at the big house.
We play 6A, bud.
Yeah,
okay.
they're at
play 6A
Oral
Navy
Roberts,
Center.
which gets weird when it's like two West Side teams, and that's where the football argument always fell flat, because the 6A boys is dominated by the West Side, and they're always going to Tulsa.
Yeah.
So okay, Owasso.
What if
Jenks
it's at night though?
It is at night.
How do people drive over to Tulsa at night?
I had to do
How
it
are they
all the
supposed to
time.
see the road, Bob?
Yes.
I had to do it all the time. The game would end around 10:30.
But we need to pass a bill in the Senate.
You're done around midnight.
About night driving.
You get home at 2.
What if their
You're
headlights don't
basically
work,
a
Bob?
survivor.
Yeah, I am a survivor.
I mean, what about the 18 years olds on the road and making it dangerous for other people?
That all have narcolepsy.
Yes.
I mean, it's dangerous, Bob.
I just want to live in a world where my 18-year-old can get in a wreck at night without headlights on and then being able to take an AR-15 into the hospital when I go to visit them. Okay? That's all I
well,
want.
you live in Oklahoma, so all of that is possible.
That's why I'm never moving.
All your dreams have come true.
That's why I'm never moving. It should be fun, though. I do want to go do that at some point.
And
so.
we'll just see how the brackets work out. If it's Heritage versus King.
Yeah, you would think that it's going to be,
Kingfisher.
right?
Yeah.
Trey Alexander on the other side for Heritage Hall.
Just like it was last year.
I know Nate Fakin has spoke highly of him, and I want to go see him as well. So it should be fun.
I'm trying to think of any other order of business that we need to discuss. I don't want to. Last time.
No, I mean, we still got the Combine next week.
Oh, yeah.
Practice starts in a couple weeks, but we're still in the coming up phase.
Yeah, no pro day announcement yet from Oklahoma, or at least I haven't seen anything. Have you guys seen anything?
I imagine it's 11th.
March 10th for the start of spring football.
That hasn't even been announced by OU.
Yeah, it hasn't even officially been announced, has it?
We only know because it's on recruiting materials that we've been.
I think
tipped
that's
off
how. I think that's how universities are now going to announce their stuff. I saw Texas. One of the players' parents tweeted something yesterday that
And then all the
basically
beat
the same
writers were
thing,
like-
and it's like, all right, well, it's that day. And I think Texas's spring game is actually April 25th, so it's even
25th.
later than
Remember,
OU's.
Texas under Mac, they sometimes had February spring practices down there.
Did they?
Yeah.
So they would go before they went on spring break, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess OU is too for
a week.
Yeah, they've done the
Yeah.
week and then spring break and then back to practice.
For spring break, somebody get in my DMs. Is spring break as big as it used to be? I don't know if it is. Doesn't seem like it is.
Without Dan Cortez, I don't know how any of us are supposed to know.
Yeah, MTV Beach House.
You said that name, and I was completely thinking of the ex-Wranglers coach, Dan Cortez. I was like, what the hell would he have anything to do with that?
No, who was the girl? Daisy
Fuentes.
Fuentes.
Yep.
Didn't she marry
Dean Kane.
No, isn't? I think she's married to Richard Marx, the singer.
She might-
Daisy Fuentes from.
Is Richard Marx the
I'll be right
Yep,
here
they're
waiting
married to
for
Richard
you.
Marx in
Yeah.
2015.
There it is. Boom!
Yeah.
I know my pop culture, Bob.
Richard
They're not
Noel
pop culture
Marx.
anymore. We're olds.
Yeah, you know your olds culture. Go
We
post that
know
on
Dan
Facebook.
Cortez.
Update your Facebook page, Gary.
It happened in 2015.
Yeah, but they haven't been relevant since 1990.
Oh, Daisy Fuentes is still relevant.
I bet she's still hot.
Yeah.
You think?
Richard Marx's dad, and I guess, I mean, it's Richard Marx, so he's the same thing. But his dad went by a stage name of Dick Marx. I find that troubling. I'm just saying.
That's
I
kinda
don't wanna
weird.
take it too. Yeah, it's strange.
Oh, by the way, update. Daisy Fuentes, if these pictures on Wikipedia are updated, still pretty hot.
Still,
Congrats to her. 53, too. Does not look 53.
She's Cuban. They age differently. I don't know what that's about.
That's
but-
racist.
Is that
They're-
Linda?
no, I mean, they're
is that
pretty.
Linda
They're
talking?
I have to check this out for myself now.
I mean,
Is that what Linda's been
50
telling you?
53, Carrie? I got it right here. She look 53 to you?
Well, I mean, that picture is 7 years
Havana?
old.
Oh, yeah, it is. 2013.
So, I mean-
All right, never mind.
Yeah, here's what you got. I can tell you how to do this. I do this every morning.
Wait a minute. What?
Daisy Fuentes,
Is this right after you get out getting
2020.
teased on TikTok?
Got to find some material.
You got to put in the current date. Yeah, that's her
You do
in
this
2020.
live on air?
No, I mean when I want to know what someone currently looks like. I mean she's getting a little clown facey. At 52, there's a pic.
That's not bad though.
No.
And singled out on the beach for spring break.
Oh my God!
Now
I have not had forever.
Now we have to find Dan Cortez. 2020. But
I hope he's doing better than like.
do you think he looks better than Guy Fieri?
No, nobody looks better than Guy Fieri. Are you kidding me?
Shut up. Yeah, Dan Cortez looks fantastic, actually.
Yep.
What is he made famous in?
He's probably like a producer now or something.
He just did the MTV thing for a while.
Yeah,
He's got to be something in Hollywood.
VJ. He was
VJ.
a VJ.
Yep.
Yeah, Dan Cortez
know
is
if
like
MTV's
he's
still
one of
around,
those
to be
guys that he just gets better with age, and his poor wife just looks like looks so horrible.
Is that his
But they
family?
stay with her, and then you got but they stay with each other, and then you got to respect the guy.
Where are they?
Well,
What's it called?
As Kerry says, that the first headline I see is Dan Cortez files for divorce from wife Phoebe.
You didn't keep up with me.
Those two
you didn't keep up with me.
Those two did not. They grew apart in the looks category. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody.
Well, it's like Chris Harrison divorced his wife.
did he?
Yeah.
Well, if he hanging around that kind of tail every weekend, every Monday night,
I
I
gets the leftovers.
can
you know.
imagine. Good Oklahoman right there. Actually, I guess he's not technically an
He played
Oklahoman.
Pebble Beach this year. Pro-Am.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I'm kind of on strike right now from CBS Golf. That's why I'm wearing my NBC Golf stuff. Peter Costas interview with no laying up is really good. Check
What
that
did
out.
CBS do?
They're just
Oh, I know.
they're just
You don't have to explain.
no, they're just fing everything up. Everything you got to mention FedEx points for all this stuff, and it's just they don't worry. They don't care about the consumer, Carrie.
I got you.
And it's not even that. It's legitimately the way that they're producing golf tournaments right now. It's not good.
That's interesting. No, but I enjoy watching. Like they had a drive competition with just the celebrities. I'll sit and watch that all day just to see who's really got a good stroke or not. Of course, it's not really fair that like they let Tony Romo do that.
I watch real golf, Carrie. I don't watch long drive
You
competitions.
just said last week that you're going to start working on your golf game and that it was shit.
I know. I need to. Just hasn't been nice out. I will say it was nice yesterday. In Oklahoma opened their baseball home schedule. They got another game today at 3:00 against Texas Southern. Texas Southern
Now, how'd
will
their
not
weekend go?
Yeah.
They took 2 or 3 from Virginia.
Okay.
They lost the
Lost the
opener
first
6-0 and came back, and I think it was 6-2. I forget what the two scores were, but they won a doubleheader because they had to move the game up from Sunday.
I noticed they
and-
moved up in the rankings.
Yeah,
Going into
I
this
mean
week.
it's so early for that kind of stuff, but it was a good win. I don't think Virginia's necessarily the national power that they have been here over the last couple of years, but I think when you look back on it and taking 2 or 3 on the road from a Virginia team is going to prove well for this team. They're pitching wise they might have one of the better rotations in the country when it's all said and done. When you have Cade Cavalli on Friday and Levi Prater and then Dane Acker on Sunday. He pitched the third game is I guess how you could put it. But
If they can just get a couple of series in, and have the same rotation, that'll be a huge win.
yeah, you want to play the long game with this team because you want to be able to throw that rotation in a regional or in a tournament setting, and if they can do that, what we've seen out of the bullpen,
It seems like some years, like either the Saturday guy falters or the Friday night guy falters, then you got to switch it up. And
yeah, and even going back to I guess you go all the way back to oh God, I'm completely blanking on his name. I can see his face. John Gray and Dylan Overton. It's kind of the same thing that they're trying to set up right now with what they have on the mound in Cavalli, Acker, and Prater. As far as if you present a lot of problems for teams if you can throw those types of arms in a regional, and the Big 12 is going to be really good again. Tech and Oklahoma State. I know OSU. They lost 2 or 3 out in Phoenix, but they actually stayed around and beat Arizona State last night. Arizona State's kind of getting out of the gate a little bit slow, so it'll be fun. I'm optimistic about this team. They had 21. The good thing with them yesterday, they had 21 hits against the Texas Southern team that again is awful, but they went out and did what good teams do. They went out and pounded their ass for 9 innings. So, pause. Kind of sounded
All
weird.
right.
But
Like, once again,
that's why I'm banned from the
Were
stadium
those guys
today.
watching TikTok too? Or?
Yeah, they must have been. They were getting teased by something.
all right.
You ever been in love with a 16-year-old, Josh?
When I was of
Say
legal
when
age,
you were
sure,
16,
Eddie.
yes.
Sure. Yeah, there's not a whole
It's
lot.
not
a
okay,
whole lot
by
else
the
going
way.
on though.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that needs to be
I'll
discussed.
leave you
that we
with Christian Rubeck would be a name that I would keep in mind from the bullpen. He came out throwing some heat yesterday.
Interesting.
96, 98,
Wow.
consistent.
Hey guys, when does what day does the combine actually start?
Like interviews and all that, like the meat market.
It's
when
like
do they?
Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to say
Yep.
it's 20. God, I want to say it's like the 27th. I remember thinking it was a little
I
bit
think that's
earlier.
right.
And
than
is
what
it in
normally is.
prime time?
Yes, it is.
That's gonna be tough to pull off. I could watch it in the morning, and my wife wouldn't care. I don't know if I can be able to watch it at night.
Go get her another.
Oh.
Go get her another TV. Get you separate TVs and just. I think that's what they said. Haven't they been advertising that? That
Yes,
it's going to
they've
be
been
prime
advertising
time.
that's
But I wasn't sure if they were doing tape delay. At
Oh,
night.
I got you. Yeah.
That, I have no clue.
Thursday, February 27th, 3 to 10 p.m. Tight ends, quarterbacks, wide receivers. Good luck, Jalen Hurts. Friday, February 28th.
But Monday they'll start the interviews and stuff. You'll be able to watch like on
Yes.
the NFL Network and all
Yeah.
that. So you'll get
So
to
it's
see.
tight ends, QBs, wide receivers on the
CeeDee Lamb.
27th.
Lamb.
Kickers, offensive linemen, running backs on special teams on the 28th. DL linebackers on the 29th, and then you end with the DBs on the 1st on Sunday. So, any wild
You know who's going to watch
predictions?
the shit out of that?
You?
Is Tiffany McQuistion. Tiffany loves no, and I mean Tiffany would be like, oh, he's got good feet. Like I mean, she's into it. She loves it, and she doesn't care about football or sports in general about anything, but she likes the combine for some reason.
Yeah, but Thursday and Saturday, if you're just an OU fan,
Sure.
Thursday you got Jalen and CD, and then Saturday you got Neville and Kenneth Murray.
You know, you see the thread on Crimson Corner yesterday talking about what Neville has supposedly been running out in California. I think he's working out at the Mamba Mentality facility out there. Somebody posted he run like a 4.7, I think.
That's what they
Well, I mean,
posted.
4.65 is what he was running prior to the season. That's what Ronnie Perkins told me.
Going to make a lot of money if you run that at the combine, I
Yeah.
would think.
I mean, he was good at the Reese's at the
Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Good in practices. I don't think anybody was that great in the game.
I always have trouble. Like, I think it's kind of bullshit that you go play one game and that like almost overshadows what you did during the week, or vice versa.
Here's my question. Okay, Josh, feel free to chime in here.
Sure.
If there's one quarterback, I think we all know the answer to this, but maybe it's a either or. Like, does Joe Burrow stay number one, or does another quarterback, such as Oregon's guy, start to kind of, because you know how that goes. People start throwing misinformation out there. People start second guessing themselves. People are going to start looking at Joe Burrow's junior year versus a senior year.
Well, who's the guy that kind of made his name, or I guess not made his name, but made some waves at the Senior Bowl was Jordan Love from Utah State, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah.
Herbert was pretty good. At
Herbert
Senior Bowl.
got
Well, and
the
he won the
MVP.
MVP,
Yeah.
right?
Impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Love was the
It seemed
practice
like
MVP or
it
something
seemed
like
like they
that.
kept trying to make
I mean, Hurts
him
won the
out
Player of the Week
into-
at practice, which
is weird because after the first day they're like, this guy sucks.
There's a lot of some people are saying that. Some people are saying that. Some other people are saying that there could have been some people paid off, and that's why it happened. But
Look,
I'm not saying that.
If Jalen Hurts
I think
goes in the
Josh
first
mentioned
two
that or something.
rounds, I'm just going to give up on the NFL evaluators.
I'll let you answer the question now, Josh.
First off, I don't think anybody touches Burrow. The way he played down the stretch, I mean, there's not many guys, and I mean, I thought Baker Mayfield ended his career as probably the best player in Oklahoma history. I thought Kyler Murray may have had the best season in Oklahoma history, and if they were going out with Burrow, I don't I maybe could make the case for Kyler, but I think Burrow would probably still go number. The way he works under pressure, that's NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it has to look like.
Is what they call it, second level or PFF or whatever. Yep. Like I saw that completion percentage under pressure. It was unbelievable. It's like 61% or something.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that he pulls a Manning?
There's talk that he's already wriggling.
I mean, yeah, it seems like it's moving in that direction.
That'd be wild.
I mean, look, that'd
be awesome.
And you know what?
That would be. You know what that? No, you know what that is. Honestly, that's a smart business decision.
No, he's completely justified. If you're a quarterback, like if you don't want to have a Sam Bradford type career, like,
no,
that's the worst thing possible. Like if you're going to go to an organization that is not going to protect you as a quarterback and doesn't show any interest in doing that, I don't want to go there because
is everybody okay with that if that happens? Like, I know nationally he'll get killed by people.
Yep.
But you know what? With the rookie scale, it's even more important to do it now than when Sam at least got 50 million, or was it 70 million guaranteed? Was it 50?
I think it was 60.
Something around there. I mean, that was guaranteed to him with the first pick of the draft. He didn't have to have, he was protected financially. Yeah. Burrow is not. I mean, I don't know what is the max, like 24, 25?
Yeah, I think Baker ended up getting something around there. Or Kyler.
So half that.
Baker and Kyler.
So he could get killed in his first 3 years, or is it 4 years now?
I mean, I would forfeit that money up front to have a little bit of success, knowing that I'm not. Maybe
it would put in the best position,
and maybe it would help open the eyes of some of these owners that you just can't run a franchise into the ground like they have in Cincinnati
and take your
like
first
I remember
pick and pick
when
a quarterback.
Jermaine was up there, people bitching about Jermaine talking about how just shitty Cincinnati was as owners.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they were decent. I mean,
JD
Carson
Reynolds
Palmer made
doesn't
some
have
run.
anything good to say about him either.
Yeah, I mean,
Way
it just
cut.
it's a bad organization. I wouldn't want to go play there, even if it was in my backyard.
Yeah, but they'll probably take him. There'll probably be some drama, but yeah, I can't really see anybody passing him. I mean, I think Herbert is just too inconsistent.
Josh, no doubt about it. Take Burrow over Chase Young.
Ooh, I don't know that I can go. I mean,
I guess it's more about your needs, but if you just had to take one of them and build a franchise the next 5 years,
boy, it'd be hard not to Chase. Like Chase Young is about as surefire, like future Hall of Famer type guy that I could think of drafting in the last few years. Like he's that special. And when you look at what the Bosas have done, and he's better than either one of them.
Yeah.
And you look how good they've been from minute one, boy, that's hard to say no to. Okay, we're going to have Julius Peppers for the next 10 years at one end. And you're not talking about like a middle linebacker. You're talking about one of the 2 or 3 key positions on the field, like the ability to impact the quarterback at the same time. I mean, and I think that's where you get into it. Like, is it that level of defensive end? Is that better than what is almost certainly going to be a very, very good pro quarterback in Joe Burrow? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a worthy argument, but man, to me, I mean, you look at the teams that have sustainability. Yeah, they usually have a good quarterback, but they almost always they're good along the lines of scrimmage. Like San Francisco is going to be good for a while because they have built up their defensive and offensive lines, and the fact that they have Jimmy Garoppolo almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
By the way, you know what else?
They've almost done it like a college team.
What else reminds me of how good the NFL is watching the XFL is there are no edge rushers in the XFL. Like the NFL has them all. Like there's no pass rushing specialists. Like it's just blitz, blitz, blitz.
In the XFL?
When you watch the XFL, yeah. They're not bringing pressure off the edge.
The pictures we saw of Dan Cody a while back, Dan Cody needs to kick the tires. Like, that dude looks like he can still walk out there and play.
I think his knee is pretty shredded.
That's all right. Okay. You can take things that you don't even feel your knee. It won't even matter.
You know who I would have
all seen Varsity Blues.
There's one player who I wish
I'd let Bud Kilmer shoot me up with some steroids.
One player I wish could have seen the XFL in his prime, and that is Quentin Griffin.
I thought you were going to say Ronell Lewis.
He could play in the XFL. He's playing like Muskogee Rough Riders or something.
It's semi-pro, I think.
Yeah.
I did see that a couple weeks ago. You think Q would have
Bob
been really good,
brought
huh?
him if he could have. I just think that, I think Quentin Griffin is that perfect guy, like that league he could have success in, but maybe he wasn't an NFL guy.
Another good one, a little older even still, is like Damon Parker.
Oh,
I don't know that he was an NFL guy.
Shit,
but
DeMar Parker played how many seasons in the NFL? Like 2.5
About
before
3,
he drugged himself
Detroit
out,
and then
basically.
Green Bay. Well, he wasn't doing that then. He just didn't. He was so small.
You're saying he grew into it?
I thought he got those possessions and stuff up in Green Bay. I could be completely wrong. I have no idea.
No, what happened in Tulsa was
12 at the
really,
time.
really bad. So I think he's still in prison.
Damn, I completely even forgot about that.
Anyway. All right. Well, no, I've enjoyed the pod today. As we said, it's camp season. Stuff's coming up. Got some really cool stuff coming your way. We are actively working on the T-shirts, by the way, which makes Eddie very happy. So
We're going to sell so much merch.
I don't know if it'll be zillion beers worthy, but
I don't think anything will be that
my God,
as big as that was.
holy crap.
Marketing 101 is what that is.
So, keep an eye out for that, and we'll keep you guys updated on that as well. So, Bedlam coming up this weekend. Looking forward to that, as well as the Houston Rivals camp. So stay tuned. Even though it's the off season, there's always stuff going on the weekends usually. So make sure you stay tuned in to Soonerscoop.com, and also subscribe. We appreciate all of our subscribers, and we do this podcast kind of to reach out, let you guys know what we do, how we do it, kind of information, access to us all the time if you want that. So go to Soonerscoop.com, sign up. We'd love to have you a member of the site if you're not already. And that'll do it. Appreciate Josh for not getting locked out of the house this week. Appreciate Eddie and Bob, as always. Guys I can count on week after week after week. I'm Kerry Murdoch. We'll see you guys next week right back here on the Unofficial 40. By the way, but remember, don't forget.
Whoa!
MidFirst.com/U40.
Was that Shakira?
MidFirst.
Talk about a tease.
MidFirst.com/U40. I thought I was on TikTok. MidFirst.com/U40. Go apply for that OU Rewards credit card. So until next week, thanks for listening to the Unofficial 40 podcast from MidFirst Bank on Soonerscoop.com.